Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. We are already here in MJ's house, and it's Monday, the 10th of June. Can you even believe it? I'm looking at myself and I'm realizing that I'm wearing my work badge, which I really shouldn't have on, and that my dress is all discombobulated, and I'm not really, I'm not really sorted, and I should be. Looks like it's just me and you, though, James. But there we are. We're not. We're online. We're not just together. We are also going to be live on social media. So it's great to see you. Good morning, Tony. And good morning to technology. I think that's what you're going to be called. Techno-King. Okay. Techno-King. Hello, Techno-King. I'm Techno-King. Got it now. Please forgive me. We are live on social media. We're also live in Clubhouse. And this morning we are sitting down. We're sitting down because we're on Clubhouse, so really you could be doing anything. I'm also on the screen here, so if you can see me, then you can also see that I'm sitting down. I'm sitting down actually in my wheelchair, and I'm sitting down in my office, and I'm sitting down on this Monday morning, and I'm sitting down for the disabled. You notice I said the disabled. Sitting down for the disabled is really important. And it's Monday. We're in MJ's house. It's Motivational Monday. Why? Because if we can't get motivated on a Monday, then I don't know when else we can. And also, it motivates me for my week. So thank you. Because at 2 minutes past 6, I am already, well, I'm on fire, is what I am. I'm on fire with excitement that this week is the last week of my local authority placement. Well, that's what we hope. So I'm Mandy-Jayne. I am a trainee social worker in Wales. I'm in Wales because what we do in Wales, we're going to be doing in England in 15 years' time. And between now and then, I'm going to be teaching people about how to do it the Welsh way. The Welsh way is really important. And I'm not just talking about going up the hill with some hill sheep. Oh, I've just seen my beautiful support person wandering about in the background. So please forgive me. Yeah, I'm not just talking about hill sheep, and I'm not just talking about the Welsh way being sheep, because it isn't the Welsh way. The way that I've found is that Wales gives me a voice. Now, it's interesting how in the Four Nations, and that's, where we live, right? England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. In the Four Nations, we have some massive differences. And one of the biggest differences is how we treat disabled people and whether those disabled people feel that they have a voice. I personally feel that I have a bigger voice in Wales than I had in England, and Wales is smaller. So I don't really get that. Maybe it's the size effect, isn't it? I'm a bigger fish in a smaller pond, so I feel more listened to. Maybe that's it. And I have actually gone through to something that they call Equal Power, Equal Voice. It's a programme that's delivered by a number of agencies in Wales, one of them being Disability Wales or Wales Cymru. And Disability Wales is a fantastic organisation that works out of Cardiff University now. I think they used to have their own place, but many people have left their offices now, haven't they? And Disability Wales or Disability Cymru is an important voice in Wales for the disabled. And I'm one of those, the disabled. And as a result, I last year applied for, it happens every year apparently, Equal Power, Equal Voice, EPEV is what they call it now. EPEV. So Equal Power, Equal Voice is on every year, and different service user groups sponsor certain numbers of individuals to move into positions of power. And so all year we have had the delight of going to the Senate, of going to Parliament, of going to the House of Lords, of meeting MPs, of working out how to campaign, of joining with campaign organisations. I've joined with the Disability Union, and the Disability Union and I in another cohort are using our Equal Power, Equal Voice knowledge to start our own campaigns. And there are so many things that that we could tackle together, but I've decided to tackle it through the power of activism and fundraising and voice. I think those three things for me, activism, fundraising and voice, are the three things that we need to promote in order that we cannot any longer want to sit down for the disabled. I've done sit-ins for the disabled. I've done sit-ins for the minors, and I'm also going to do some stand-up. In that I don't stand up, I'll be sitting down. I'm going to be doing a stand-up, sit down, roll on, roll off. I'm not sure what we want to call it. For the disabled at the end of this month at the Curve in Cardiff. Now, between that, I am going to speak at Baswa, and the gentleman next to me, Alexia, is coming. Alexia, the gentleman next to me, James, is coming with me, and Alexia has been part of that journey and came last year. And Alexia named Basra. So James and I are going into the new war zone of Basra. Just next week, actually. It's unbelievable, but this time next week we will be the night before, so we are a week away from sitting down for the disabled at Basra. And it's not on Motivational Monday, it's on I'll see you next Tuesday. I'll see you next Tuesday, I think. So it'll be next Tuesday I'll be seeing you, James, not in Wales, in Scotland this time, in the Four Nations. We're not sure which one. In the Four Nations, we will be in Scotland at the Earth Centre, and we will be delivering voice, or Kleis, or place, or Kleis, however you want to say it. I think they say Kleis is voice, and we will be delivering sit down for the disabled adverts so that people at Baswa or Basra worldwide will be able to buy those tickets for the comedy show, the ultra comedy on at the Curve the last week in Cardiff. So this week, really, when we think about it, I mean, the last week of my placement, next week it's voice in the British Association of Social Workers, and the week after we are sitting down for the disabled in Cardiff at the Curve. I mean, this is activism, right? And it's fundraising. We're fundraising, and I'm happy for anyone to put that link at the top. I can do it too. We're fundraising, first of all, for the Disabled Entrepreneurs Club, because we intend to crown our first disabled entrepreneur in July. We are fundraising for Disability Cymru or Disability Wales because they have supported me on the Equal Power, Equal Voice campaign and funded me for a year to go and do all of those incredible things with the Welsh Government. So I am paying them back, paying it forward by sitting down for the disabled. And then next week we are at Baswa in Scotland as I express voice to social workers and commissioners, and to talk about how the lived experience, or the living experience, because I'm not dead yet, is important for the disabled. And I'm going to talk about the fact that sitting down for the disabled is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and I hope you realise that. Morning, Kelly. A little bit tongue-in-cheek in that sitting down for the disabled is a bit like doing a sit-in, and we did those in the 80s, yeah? So we stood up for ourselves by sitting down, or chaining ourselves to fences, or gates, or buses, or roads, or each other, in order to argue in the 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, and we're still here, and it's nearly 2025. We are still sitting down for the disabled 50 odd years after I was born disabled. And there have been massive strides made. I'm not being facetious there. Massive strides in sitting down for the disabled. We have in Parliament and storming Parliament. And I'm at a position now where I feel that sitting in front of Parliament or number 10 will be really important when there isn't a ramp there. So I'm going to continue to sit for the disabled. I'm going to sit for the disabled here on Clubhouse. I'm going to sit for the disabled on Monday nights in Inclusion, and we have new staff members coming on board tonight to come in there and see how our activism, our fundraising, and our voice is going. And we have 3 coaches that come along on a Monday night as well to facilitate their own understanding in how we are helping people move forward in workfulness. Because let's face it, guys, unless it happens to you, it's not that interesting. Disability ain't sexy. It's not gorgeous to talk about disability devices. It's not great to talk about transport. It's not a laugh to realise that the most affected, the most disaffected, and the most underprivileged in our country are the ones that are the least considered. So I've got to do a sit down and I've got to make a joke about it. I'm not doing a stand up, I'm doing a sit down. I'm going to be doing it for the disabled, and there won't be any other disabled there. In order for me to go and do a sit down for the disabled, well, a bit like when I went for a recent award with Women Changing the World, when I got there, I said to my sis, the girl I called my sis, who's also my financial manager, we ain't won, love. And she went, why not? What do you mean? Don't be negative. It's the power of positive thinking, MJ. And I'm like, no, darling, really, we've not won, but it's great to be here. And we did win a prize, thanks to James, who put me forward for it. But when I got there was no ramp. So I knew we weren't first from the get-go. So that meant I had a great night because I relaxed, enjoyed myself, realised I didn't have to get on that stage and my acceptance speech wasn't required. And so I enjoyed myself sitting down for the disabled in my Omeo. We danced that night in the Omeo, and believe me, not very many people dared to come anywhere near my wheelchair when I was in it, just in case I got run over, I think. So lots of dance space on the floor that night, but no ramp. So this time, in a fortnight, next week, of course, Baswell won't need a stage because they've put me in a room where I don't need a stage in order that I don't need the stage. Otherwise, they'd have to change everything, right? And next week, the week after that, I'm at the Curve and I'm going to make them take a stage, aren't I? Or put a stage, or have a stage, or put a ramp, or maybe there won't be a ramp. Imagine if I get to sit down for the disabled and I can't get a ramp onto the stage to do it. I really ought to contact the Curve and help them know that a ramp is necessary for the end of June. Maybe that's a kind thing to do. So yes, I'm going to sit down for the disabled. I went to Windsor and continued to sit down for the disabled. I didn't have to roll up for the disabled because there was no ramp to do that, or roll down again. I didn't have to roll on because I didn't have to roll off, and I didn't have to stand up because I was sat down. So I think that I've definitely got this stand up, sit down, roll on, roll off sorted already before I even venture into the organisation, before I even venture in to see if the ramp is there. And I have a ramp in my van. Well, actually, I don't, because my ramp isn't here and neither is my van. But if it was, I have a ramp. Now, my ramp is not back until after the end of June. My van isn't back until after the end of June, so I won't be using my ramp to roll on for the disabled or roll off. I will have to ask the Curve if they do have a ramp, unlike the Women Changing the World's Award in Windsor. It all sounds a little bit complicated, doesn't it? Because first of all, I've got to get on the stage. I haven't even got there yet. It's 6:15. Thankfully, in Clubhouse, we don't have a stage. Well, we do. I'm on it. But we don't have a stage I've got to roll on or roll off or stand up for or sit down in. In fact, I can just turn up, roll up, turn up whenever I want, really. Open a room, do what I want. Yeah, not roll down the stairs, James. So once we've got a ramp and we've got a stage and we've got a me and we've decided whether we're sitting down, standing up, rolling on or rolling off, then we can start talking about why we're there. It's taken a while. I feel like that about access to work. It takes a while, you know. I feel like that about getting equity. It takes a while. I met a solicitor yesterday. I've met a few now. I met one at Women Changing the World. She was from Portugal. She lives in Portugal, but she represents Holland, and she's part of the Chamber of Commerce. She's amazing. So I met her at Women Changing the World. She commented on the fact that there was no ramp, and I told her we hadn't won. She laughed at that too because she was on my table, on my awards table. And she's a solicitor, and I was talking to the other solicitor yesterday, Claire, who's actually a professor of solicitorness. And she's also health and social care solicitor and a human rights lawyer and a baby judge were her words. I'm just a baby judge. She's a baby judge in Jersey. A baby judge in Jersey. Do you know, it's almost onomatopoeic, isn't it? A baby judge in Jersey. I think she'll be judging dutifully in Jersey, will our baby judge. And her name is Claire, and she has been party to the discussions that are happening about the Isle of Man and in Jersey in the UK, across all of our four nations, actually, not just Scotland, where we are next week, not just England, where we are after the end of the month, but in Wales as well when we are down for the disabled. And the only one really that we haven't talked about is Ireland. And then, of course, our other islands like Jersey and all of those. They influence the English law in just a similar way to the Welsh law influences the English law. In Wales, we have the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act. That's different to England. In England, we're not allowed to kill disabled people yet. You know, by maids. We're not allowed to give them a maid, a medical assistance in death person. But in the Isle of Man in Jersey, we are going to be able to. That is being discussed right now. It's already passed. We want to know if Route 1 is going to be passed. And Route 1, of course, is our 24-hour medical assistance in death. They're worried about Route 1 because sitting down for the disabled isn't very funny if Route 1 happens, because what that means is that a social worker like myself and a doctor or a solicitor, those three people are quite important in that regard, can sign for, administer and support the end of life in 24 hours. So Route 2 takes 3 months. 3 months to get the okay to have medical assistance in death, but Route 1 only takes 24 hours. So there is a story that was told on the programme that Liz Carr has recently put out about medical assistance in death, that that she was motivated to make a conversation, a documentary about it, and she hated the idea of doing a documentary as a disabled person. She talked about all of the irony that goes on with those documentaries, like staring out of the window, staring over the water and contemplating her navel, and whether medical assistance in death is a good thing, whether it's 12 weeks or 24 hours. But she really felt that she had to make a conversation, have a conversation, begin a debate about the MAID service coming to the UK. Now, I wasn't made in Wales, I was made in England, and I wasn't made in Scotland. I'm going there for BASWA. And I was thinking about a maid from, well, Canada, because that's where you get medical assistance in death at the moment. In fact, now they have Route 1 in Canada. They have Route 1 and Route 2, and you can ring the medical assistance in death telephone line, which will tell you that you've phoned the medical assistance in death telephone line and which route would you like to be handled by, Route 1 or Route 2. And Route 1 is 24 hours. So in her programme, if you haven't seen it, I would suggest that you do go and look at it and watch it and listen to it and contemplate it, and maybe sit down and discuss it with your family or your family friend or your friend's sister or whoever it is that you're touched by with disability, because there'll be somebody, and go and discuss medical assistance in death with them. Route 1 or Route 2. I think the fact that our solicitor is involved with Route 1 and Route 2 and is the baby judge for Jersey, and of course a discussion in the Isle of Man, really couldn't be made up. I couldn't have made up that I was going to meet our new solicitor, who happened to be involved with the medical assistance in death provision in the UK. Training to be a social worker. Why are you paying £27? I said, so they don't kill me. It's true. It's true. I saw this coming back in 2003. They started talking about learning about societies, and my company was called Learning Societies. Funny that, isn't it? And we were learning about societies and what we needed to do, and what we realised is there wasn't enough money and there wasn't enough provision. And we knew 25 years later, and we're almost there, that we will be running out and it will be time to make a change. There's a song, isn't there? I think it's Michael Jackson. Time to make a change. Well, there we are now. Here we are. I don't think it is him. But it is a time to make a change, because we're now changing for MAID service in the UK. And I didn't think it would be as soon. But here we are. April 24, they had that major debate about medical assistance in death. And do you know what? The quietness about it really is a bit dodgy. The fact that I can sit down for the disabled, I can talk about this happening, I can talk about the fact that we're going to be allowing people the right to die. Listen, I understand it's a difficult subject, and I also understand that it's a good thing. that if somebody's got stage 4 cancer, they're dying, they're in absolute agony, they're screaming agony, and they want to have some control over the end of their life. I get the desire to do that. The issue I've got is the fact that we're now already debating Route 1, which is a 24-hour job. And then you think, well, somebody's screaming in pain, so yeah, don't they need Route 1? Well, that's okay. But what if Route 1 is written by somebody, and then somebody else decides that Route 1 is for somebody that's not feeling too happy? And what if Route 1's about, well, that person lost a lot of weight and they haven't really got quality of life, and it's not that they're terminal and it's not that they're screaming. Actually, it might just be that they're inconvenient. Maybe there isn't a ramp to the stage, and maybe the medical assistance in death needs to be enacted in 24 hours so that we don't have the embarrassment of a stage. Do you see where I'm going? It begins with great intentions and it ends with getting rid of me because there's a stage and I'm going to turn up for an award. Maybe not quite so bad as that, but you get where I'm going. It's Motivational Monday because we need to be motivated to understand that this is all about us. When I said I was going to train as a social worker and people said, what are you doing that for? And I said, so they don't kill me. They thought I was exaggerating. That was 3 years ago. But I knew about this in 2002. And 2003, I began learning societies, the company, not just learning about them. I've been doing that for a lot of decades before that, since the 70s. Remember, I was 10 years old when I realised that the government had control over whether I could be at home for Christmas. I was 5 years old when I realised that my voice was not important in the medical sector and that they were asking my mum how my pain was. And that was the first time I marched out of a consultant's office age 7 and said, come and talk to me about me, come and speak to me, let me have my voice, and then maybe I can talk to you. And I'm still here, sitting down for the disabled, finding my voice, looking for the ramp, and attempting not to be killed by a maid in 24 hours. 25 years I've been at this, and I'm still running away from the maid. Or maybe I'm running towards her. I don't know. I think I would like the choice, but I want that choice to be mediated. I want that choice to be secure. I want that choice to be safe. And I want that choice not to be about being thin, miserable, without money, or a nuisance. I want that choice to be in a hospital or in a hospice. I want that choice to be with a doctor. I want that choice to be in a medical setting. And I want that choice to be managed in that way, if there's going to be a choice made. So we're going to sit down for the disabled all this month. I mean, I'm a bit late to the table in that it took me a week to get on the stage. I think we were talking about voice and sitting down for the disabled before June. But June really is about sitting down for the disabled and also about standing up if you can. It's also about rolling on and rolling off, because this is rhetoric. We're going to talk about this, and eventually it's going to be so comfortable to talk about medical assistance in death that giving somebody the lethal injection will be normal. It won't be like Shipman was ever here. He shipped him in and he shipped him out. I don't think he shipped him in. Maybe we need a into the world, whether they're relevant, applicable, appropriate, made the right way. Maybe we should just get the maids at the beginning and then we can save the dash between. I think that's where I'm going, that my concern is that we will start making selections about selections. So Simon Baron-Cohen, who runs the Autism Research Centre, his sister actually is a DMT assisted therapist. She does all sorts of Simon Baron-Cohen, he was on the BBC News not very, very many years ago, talking about the beautiful progression we have, where now we can see in uterus what our genetic composition of our fetus is. So we can literally look at the genetic composition of our egg and of our sperm, and when we put them together, we can check what characteristics they have. And Simon Baron-Cohen said the problem with that is that we're going to be selecting autism out of our gene pool. And if we did, what would that mean? when people like Einstein, and many others, as we know, Stephen Hawkins, the people that have managed this kind of world and understanding of this world, would never have existed had we genetically bred autism out of the equation. So there's my concern about medical assistance in death. We are sitting down for the disabled. We are definitely speaking up for the disabled in Baswa. We are definitely rolling on the stage at the end of the month, because there will be a ramp, and we'll be rolling off again at the end after my 5 minutes of sit down. And I am toying with the idea of bringing medical assistance in death into my 5 minutes, and it is at the moment part of my 5 minute sit down. It never feels that funny when I talk about it, or not off the cuff, but I think it's a very important thing to start discussing. We are going to Basworth. We are going actually in August on a canal boat, and inclusion is here to stay. It's a foregone conclusion, and it's the only global pandemic that I need to be part of. And if you're not for conclusion, what are you for? And for inclusion, not conclusion. If you're not for inclusion, what are you for? And if it's not your conclusion that it's got to be happening, then what do you stand up for, or sit down for, or speak up for, or speak against? You know, it's not convenient to have everything in June, but it is convenient that we're going to make a loud noise, a large splash, a big deal, and we are going global. So this is the beginning, guys. This summer is the beginning of the next, well, 10 months. We have 10 months, and this month's intense. You think about July and then August and then September. We've got plans right up to Christmas. And then it's only 4 more months until the end. And I will be at the end of my social work degree come next April. It feels like it's just around the corner, and yet it's a year away. We are sitting down for the disabled, and we're also standing up. We've been standing up for years. But I really feel like we've got our act together now, and we're going to be performing it to the four nations. And at that point, the most important person in the universe turned up just to say good morning. Well, we are almost at past, and I feel like this last 27 minutes has been really, really important. Look, I'm going to summarize it, and then I'm going to bring it to James and Alexia and Jew and Tony, Kelly, Matt. If you want to come up, let's have this conversation. It's Monday morning. It's not an easy one. I know it's not easy to talk about disability. I know it's not easy to talk about sitting down and ramps and buses and trains, and whether Monday is worth, having a crack on, whether we really do need to start being just a little bit more militant. And I wonder whether these discussions, this way of talking, this kind of let's just get it out, let's get the awkward elephant that's in the room out and say to it, look, there's the elephant, they're going to try and kill us. And then let's talk about the fact that I got an award offered for a stage I couldn't get on. And then let's discuss the fact that we're in Clubhouse, so we can all get on the stage, but it wouldn't be easy if we weren't. And then we won't even need to start discussing the idea that most of the things that we do are not accessible by the people that I love, to those without eyes or without hearing, or, you know, it's a sit down for the disabled, but I thought we could sit round the table and talk about the fact that medical assistance is death is here in the UK, that we are not included yet, that we have a voice to express, and we have an access to work program to fix. Because if we don't, we can't go to work, and if we don't go to work, we're not going to have any benefits, and we don't have any benefits, we're not going to be stay alive, and then we're going to need the medical assistance in death. And believe me, this has been their plan since the beginning of the noughties. We're just a couple of years off the culmination, 2025, and it'll all start happening. 25 years to running out of money, and here we are. So what we're going to do about it and how are we going to tackle sitting down for the disabled on a stage without a ramp, at a time when we are about to get a MAID. I just think it's brilliant. You have been with MJ, and now you're going to be with James and Alexia and Jew and Tony and hopefully Kelly and maybe Matt and possibly those others. Please share the space out. Thank you for spending 30 minutes of your day, your Monday morning with me so far. I am going to my local authority placement very shortly for the final week. It's like the final countdown, the beginning of everything. It's endings and beginnings. Very important. Very, very important endings and beginnings, because if things don't end, other things can't begin. And I believe that we need to end the idea that we can turn up for an award where there isn't a ramp and to a table where there isn't a space. So we're going to Basworth to make one. Aren't we, James? Are you excited? Good morning.
Oh, I am extremely excited that you've made me get a visit to Basra, because I had a beautiful cycle there last year, but it took a lot out of me, that, and I know the strength to cycle. So about 5 minutes before the room began, I was wondering where we were going with the thoughts, and then I looked at them in front of my mirror, my train tickets for next week. So I'm super excited because I've done all the advanced planning, and what you say about MAID. I watched that show, that documentary, and it really was like, when they mentioned the whole procedures they've got in Canada, you can just literally phone up, and it's like almost like ordering, say, an Eat at any point or a Just Eat or any other kind of phone line, but you can order a wooden box to be delivered via injection, and put yourself in the box and it delivered into the soil. I think it's a little bit too fast on that delivery for me. 24 hours with having bipolar. I know I could yo-yo pretty epically, and but I do feel blessed with my last employer, how they had the medical assist phone line, health assist, I think it was called. Some I don't know if it's some bogus firm based in Cheshire or not, but I remember being told all these various things about it, and then when I listened to it several times over the case of one day, it was like one of them phishing phone lines. You know, when everyone gets the information that you need a new phone, and all of a sudden everybody in the world's ringing you up trying to sell you a phone.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, really, this phishing experiment to this 0800 number. It was funny how it ended, like in 82, not 83, which is my union membership number.
Wow.
It's really funny how there was that synergy between the numbers, and it did have a 51 in, which is always a good year when it's your mum's year.
Oh.
So there was little peculiarities about what I made that phone call to Health Assist that day, and it just seemed to be completely bogus from the gasworks in a really low town. But those days, I don't accept stuff like that myself. I think once you do a little bit of digging, not graveyard humour there, sorry, MJ. Don't rush to be doing any preparation and phoning up to dig any holes before Basworth.
I won't.
I'd like to turn up. But yeah, I'm super excited about just jumping on the train and getting up there, because I'm not going to have a set of wheels with me. I'm just going to be walking around Edinburgh having a good look, because it's, when I was cycling through Scotland, it is so beautiful up there. Edinburgh looks stunning. It's I've only been to a couple of exhibitions. Is that where we are? Up there. We are at the Earth Centre, which is a beautiful place, and I'm sure Alexia would be really inspired by it. We'll take some video for it. Yeah, we'll get a lot of footage up there. Louis coming. I'm super excited, because I would imagine that at the Earth Centre in Scotland, they've probably not got many plastic single-use bottles up there available in the centre, which would be really nice, because I wouldn't want to have that really horrible brown thought managing my head. No, neither would I. I just want to say good morning to Amori. I think it's Amori. We have somebody on the stage. Good morning.
That is correct.
Oh, good morning, Amori. How are you?
I am doing good.
I am so glad you are here. It's great to have you.
Thank you for asking. I think it's it's nice to meet you. I don't know if we met or not because I remember following you, but I don't remember seeing your rooms. So it's nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you. It's great you're here. I've had a little look at your bio, and you know, you probably, I don't know what prompted you. What prompted you to come into the room? Was it the title?
It was the title.
Yeah,
Yes.
great, good.
I always read titles before. I always read titles with my screen reader before I come in.
Yeah.
To each room, you know.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's positive and peaceful, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you're blind, aren't you? Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. And 21?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So how's being blind and 21? Because all of the people that I know that are blind are older than you, sort of 35 plus the individuals that I know that are also blind. And they find life a bit irritating quite a lot of the time as far as accessibility is concerned.
Yes.
We have a blind electronic musician, and he's trying to make electronic music accessible to blind people in the world, but in the UK particularly. Creating something called the Push, I think they call it, which is a joystick to be able to use the electronic music software.
Yeah.
Very frustrating. Yeah. And so many things are not accessible, are they?
Yeah, and yes, this app became one of 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 them. It became one of them.
It
and
did.
I am so mad.
Yes, so is he.
Of what the team did. But you know, it's they're 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 making it better.
Yes.
Because I submitted a gigantic load of feedback because I was
Thank you.
completely irritated once I saw the new update back in September 2023. And I was like so mad because I couldn't access anything.
That's right.
But I can access the chats a little bit with the text to speech software, but I'm talking about the Clubhouse text to speech of where they would have and surprisingly, when I use it, I love the fact that it even has your English accent, and which is very appealing. Because wow, it does. It actually does.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. But I do like to hear the fact that you're feeding in, because some of the blind participants that I know have stopped using Clubhouse as much because it was so difficult to access, and that's a shame because the blind community was growing. You know, really up to September, it was getting quite sizable, and I feel like the changes weren't helpful. These are the things. This is why we need voices. Why we need to speak up, and it's why I'm glad you're here. So please join the club. We're in inclusion on Monday nights at 7 p.m. if you'd like to come along. If you look for inclusion, you'll see a heart-shaped logo. And if you'd like to come along, we'd love to see you there, Amori. It's great that you're here, and it's great that you're here to have a voice for us, because we're not. I'm not blind, but I am a wheelchair user, and I think everyone on this stage, yes, everyone on this stage, in fact, everyone in this room is disabled. But then the disabled is in the title, so it tends to make the others stay away, I find. But that's great, Amori. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad that you found us. I'm glad you found us. I will move. You. That's all right. I'm going to go on and say good morning to the rest of the gang. Alexia, good morning, my lovely.
Good morning. James, I got in this morning. Thank you, James.
Was it? Oh, that's good. Thank
Yeah,
goodness for you.
Yeah, he sent me a link.
Oh, there we are, you see. Amazing.
Yeah, I watched that video, and we really have to think very carefully about this.
We do.
Most of you in this room know I was married to someone who was old enough to be my dad. And we were married for 31 years. But one day we had a conversation. And he said, if I had a disabled child, I would have it put to sleep. So I said, well, why did you marry me? Because in those days, I didn't class myself as disabled, but I was actually born with polio, plus some other things as well. And he said, well, that's different. But it's not different. And are you then going to say, when an accident happens, as happened to Karen Dark, who she still climbs, she still does things, but
true.
Over 25, 30 years ago now, she fell over 100 feet and broke her back. So are you then going to decide that somebody doesn't need to live because they've got a problem?
Exactly.
Are you going to decide when somebody gets to older in life and they start to have health issues, we're not going to allow them
to stay around
to live? This is a really tricky question. It's easy to make it simple. I've rescued many, many animals, and I've been grateful for the fact that sometimes when they're in pain, I can decide to put them to sleep. But I'm doing that because they are in pain, and cost of trying to put them right is going to be detrimental to them. I can't explain to them. It's going to take months for them to be what they should be. So we have to be very careful about this one. This morning I have done something that I tried not to do, but I had to do it. The next road to me, they're having some work done on their house. And their back entrance comes out on my road. So they put 12 bags of rubbish on the pavement. I asked them politely twice to remove it. And I said to them, if they didn't, there would be consequences. They've had 2 days to do it, and they haven't. They've got a front garden. It's actually, for anybody who doesn't know, in England, it is illegal to put rubbish on the pavement. For anybody who is blind, like a Maori, he can't see that. He can't sense that. That is really dangerous. It's dangerous for the planet. It's dangerous for... I've actually... My health is struggling a bit, but I got out my big trailer, and some of you know, have seen photos of that. If not, at some point I will post them. And I put those 13 bags on my trailer this morning, and I've kindly dumped it in their front garden. I hope they enjoy it when they wake up. I could have put it in council rubbish bags so that when I threw it over their front wall, the bags didn't break. But sorry, universe, forgive me. I'm going to use the word I shouldn't use, but sod it, I wasn't doing it. So they got a nice present at their front door this morning. I haven't actually blocked them in. If I could have done it, I would have moved their bins around there and put them right in their front door so they couldn't get out. Why am I doing this? Everybody's talking about health, about well-being, and I've actually changed the blog I'm putting out today. If you want great health, everything you have comes from this planet. Your health, your well-being, how you feel starts with this planet. When you feel uneasy, very often it's the connection to the planet that's doing it. So why would you do that? One simple thing you can do is make sure you recycle. I went through their bins. I don't like to say this, but I hope they get a hefty fine, because their recycle bin is full of carpet which shouldn't be there. It's full of rubbish that shouldn't be there.
And trash.
And they can, the council can, the rubbish guys can actually refuse to take it. In fact, I've almost had a mind to bring them up this morning because I know them and say, can you stick a red sticker on that bin on Wednesday and refuse to take it? These simple things can affect how you feel mentally, how you feel psychologically.
Of course.
how you feel in your well-being. Just to tell you how difficult it was, and MJ and I don't believe in the poor me. My leg was painful, and I had yet another fall yesterday from nowhere, just ended up on the floor doing the rubbish with Belle. So if everybody kept it clean, no, that's all right, mate. If everybody just kept it clean, I wouldn't have to do it. It's nothing like what it was. I mean, you've seen pictures of what I was picking up before. That's what that trolley was like this morning. I should have taken a video, but it was beginning to rain. But doing those things and just thinking about what we do with things affects how you feel.
It does.
One of the things, and MJ in her training and in my training, the one thing that comes to mind always is how you react to a situation. This rubbish had been there since Friday, and I politely sent them a message, knocked on their door on Friday, and asked them to move it. So it's Monday morning, so I've given them more than enough time, and I actually met the woman yesterday when I was rubbish clearing. So with my council equipment on, so she knows I am part of the council, and they still didn't do it.
I'm glad you've done it.
Yeah, well, you know me, you and I are both strong-willed, so you can imagine how much control it took me not to do something about that for 2 days, and to do it with a polite approach.
That's right.
And it didn't work. And if you want a lesson on what happens psychologically when we struggle with something, stop and think about what's going on in your head. Because if you can take control of that, which is what I had to take control of yesterday, you've got a great understanding of what goes on in your head when those things get to you.
Exactly.
I'm going to go back briefly to what you were saying about that film. Now, I did watch that. Now, if somebody had asked me when I lost everything to fraud, do I want to end it? My words would have been yes, now, right this minute. You imagine being wealthy and then waking up and finding you've got nothing in the bank, wondering how the heck you're going to pay your mortgage, how you're going to pay your bills. And I mean, at the same time, what am I going to do? Oh, end it.
Wow.
No, that's not the answer. Yeah, my husband died of cancer, and it would have been nice when he was looking like somebody out of Belsen to have ended it sooner for him. But I'm going to explain to somebody here now. In that situation, if somebody goes into a hospice, they can give drugs that they can't legally give in hospital to ease pain. They can give combinations of drugs.
They can.
And that actually puts you to sleep. So your heart just eventually stops, just the same as it would have if you were doing it for a pet. So we've got to be very careful with this law.
We do. I agree. I think that it's the right place, the hospice. If we're going to do it, I think the hospice is the right place, right? And I believe that people should also have the right to for that to happen at home, if that's the case. Yes. However, I think that we have to be mindful about how it's delivered, and it's the thin end of the wedge. As soon as we do that, then we open up that wedge to the point where we start deciding really crazy things. So it needs to be discussed really loudly, proudly, and up front, and in a very sensible way. And it's not something, it's been around the House of Lords now 4 times. It's been through the House, and each time, it's been said, now come on. And Esther Ranson, of course, is fighting for it at the moment. I don't know whether she's managed it yet, but I don't think she has. But she's dying, isn't she?
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to be here. Now, I get it. For God's sake, I'm in that position where I know I'm life limited. I'm aware of that. I've been told. I know what's happening with my organs. I know that, right? I've just had a brain scan to see whether we've made any changes this last 2 years as well. But I'm in that invidious position where I imagine there's going to be a point where the pain is intolerable. At that point, I don't want to be responsible for having to do that. But by the same token, I understand that for the world to give me the responsibility of being able to do that is dangerous for everybody else that I love and everybody else that's ever born with my needs.
It could be so dangerous if you get a salute you.
Yeah.
I dread saying it, but if you've got a bench solicitor and a bench
That's
lawyer,
it. You've done.
and
a GP. You'd only
Yeah,
need me
don't
and
happen.
me. I mean, it's as near as this to me. It's me and Dr. Bakes and our new solicitor. Yeah, put us together, and you've got a murder team.
Yeah,
You have.
exactly. Yeah,
You have.
it's really dangerous.
It is. It is.
And I watched
Morning, Jackie.
We're gonna have a big crisis. In you talked about this system of change of benefit.
Mm.
The way the world is going at the moment, if we don't react quickly, we're going to be in serious trouble because Russia and China are on the verge of going to war. They are at war, but much bigger. It could involve Europe.
I agree.
How this could affect us is not just that we might get bombed, because with technology we've gone way beyond that. What it would affect is our food source.
It will.
We take it for granted. We can have bananas when we like. We can have oranges when we like. That might not be the case.
Absolutely.
But with this new law they've brought in now about benefit, I was shocked last night in the farming programme. A lot of our small farms survive on the fact that they could get
welfare
support
benefits
in between when the cattle goes to be slaughtered, or when they've got to find machines. Now they've got to apply for it every month, and what they're actually saying to me is, no, you've got enough income, and they're left with nothing in the bank.
It's the same as universal credit. It is a global control of the income and the numbers in the bank account, and at any time when we decide to not agree with what they say or what we're not meant to do, then those numbers will disappear, and those numbers, the capacity for drawing those numbers will stop. That is how they're going to control the masses. That's what we're doing. We've done it already, but this is the way. The universal credit, the new system by which HMRC is connected. And let's remember, anybody on tax credit is going on to your credit. Anyone on subsidies is going on to the new universal gateway. Every business, every person, every disabled person, every family is going to be connected to the government gateway in the UK. And that's the way money will be pulled or given. You're absolutely right, Alexia. You've hit the nail on the head. You've hit the nail right on the head.
Things change. You've got to be prepared to step up, which is what MJ's doing, which is what I'm prepared to do. It's what James is prepared to do. The only reason I'm not in Scotland is because without someone come with me, I really don't feel I could manage that journey now.
Neither do I. Neither do I, Alexia.
It would be stupid for me to try and do it.
I agree. 100%.
It would be putting other people at risk. Sometimes we have to be sensible about what we can do.
We do.
It was like moving those bags this morning. It was really difficult for me to do that this morning. I had to ask the universe to give me the courage to think very carefully about how I was doing it.
Yeah.
I got to pull that big trailer I used to take around the streets and do it very carefully. Plus take a walking stick to help me balance.
That's it.
I wish I could have had somebody video it.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. I bet they wish there was a video of it, but not later, maybe. Now then, we are at 5:02.
Everybody see you tonight.
All right, yeah, I'll see you tonight. I've got 5 minutes and 3 people or 4 people. We've spoken to Amori. I'm going to run through you and let you feed in if there is any feeding, and maybe Tony, you might even have a poem for us to finish. So, Ju, good morning. Are you there? You made it. Did James give you a link? Oh, I can't hear you, but I can see you. You're unmuted, but you're silent. That is very unusual. It's a nice feeling. Jew's unmiked and silent. I think we should do that when we roll on for the disabled, or sit down, or stand up, or roll off. Jew, I think you should be part of my sit down. I think I'd like to talk to you about being a disabled person and how you find it. Do you find it frustrating, Jew? Yeah, I thought you did. And do you think that this room is amazing, Jew? Yeah, I realise that as well. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so glad for your feedback. Tony, actually, Christian, are you there? Oh, you are there. Do you have a good weekend?
Yeah, very
Good.
Thank you for the way we got to this situation, and get my friend Carl on as a PA. It brings me up with all sorts of ideas, and he's a cat during the day, and we end up all sorts of places, normally wherever he's in. So, and it's all because of this. But just coming back to what you were saying, I apologise, I was related to it.
You're very welcome.
I mean, I always had it.
Excuse me.
Yes, Amore.
I hate to interrupt. I just wanted to let you guys know that I came back. I couldn't hear anything, but now my internet is all good. So
Yay, you can
just
hear.
making sure.
That's cool.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Amore.
No problem. No problem. And where are you from, MJ?
I'm from York. I lived in Yorkshire, but I'm in Wales, so I'm in the UK. I was in Yorkshire, which is up in the north of England, and now I'm in Cardiff in Wales, which is the capital of Wales, of course.
Oh, so you're originally from London, then, Janet?
Well, from I was born in Tunbridge Wells, Royal Tunbridge Wells, which is down south. Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering.
Thank
Because I
you.
hear your accent a little bit. No, don't mean to be rude and interrupt the room, but just don't even mind me asking. You know.
No, I don't mind you asking, not at all. Christian, how lovely you're back. You're there. Yeah. So you've had a good weekend. You went out with Carl, and Carl's amazing.
Yeah, and
Good.
just going back into what we were saying.
Yeah.
We've had it. I've had it twice, and I know that people are campaigning for assisted dying, and whether how you want to frame it, and I don't. It's happened to us twice with both a grandmother and mum. That they basically they withdrew treatment, and let us know that was the outcome to what they were doing. And I would be careful about this, but I haven't actually said this. I think I might have said about mum, but they do with grandmother. So they campaign for it, and I understand they campaign where people are coming from in their current situation. This is quite a difficult thing to explain, but so if you've got, like Esperance, with his Esperance, and but the say that assisted dying doesn't exist, which seems to be what they say, is incorrect, and is incorrect even when you both me and Dad made it really clear that was not what we wanted. So it was literally we were told with mum, not asked.
Yeah.
Now I understand why, and now I understand that was the only way.
Yeah.
I think, because it was. However, in that moment, it was.
No.
Everybody who knows me here now, everybody's known me for a long time, knows, how I was before.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just my 3 seconds. So it just put my 2 pence in about that. But yeah.
It's right. It's right. I think we do. It's the elephant in the room, isn't it? We already have it. We have it in hospices. We know that we're doing it. We know that doctors understand it. We know that there's end of life support. We know that we need to keep people humanely out of intolerable pain. But whether we have a 24-hour medical assistance in death route 1 way in the UK is a long way from that. And Christian, I'm so sorry. I am sorry for your loss, and I know that you've experienced an awful lot of loss, particularly in recent years. And it's not an easy game. It's not an easy game. Talking about it, it's not an easy game. But when we've got our now solicitor talking about it in the country next to ours, where the influences massively in our legal system, it's time to have the conversation. I've mentioned it, I've moved towards it. Well, I'm afraid yesterday told me we have to have that conversation. If we steer away from these difficult conversations, well, what is inclusion if it's not going to be having the difficult conversations? So I'm grateful
100%.
to you.
And everything we do in inclusion, and everything we talk about inclusion is because the normies, use that term from us, who don't want to have that conversation.
That's right.
Whether it be about disability, anything like that, they don't want. And by not having it and by not airing views on these things, it brushes under the carpet and creates a far bigger problem. I must admit, I do agree you have to be careful about going down a sort of eugenics sort of line. You do, so you do have to be very, very careful with this, because we know what that was like in history.
That's right.
And if anybody doesn't know the history of that, it wasn't, there were lots of people that sort of thing happened to him. But it's about getting the balance right, and I don't think we've got the balance right at the moment in anything, either disability or that. But all right.
Thank you. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. We have to bring it back to reality. Equally, though, I think the idea that we are better together and that we're stronger in this regard, because we speak about the most difficult things, is absolutely vital. And Tony is somebody who's spoken the truth for many, many years, with lots of people listening, I think, through the art of his poetry. Tony, good morning. You don't have to have a poem, but are you there?
Morning.
How are you? I thought you might.
I'm surviving, thank you.
So am I.
And interestingly, that's not what this next poem is about. I wrote this on the death of the man I believed to have been my father.
Okay.
It's called Epitaph.
Thank you.
Now, as I rest here on my bed of state, what questions should I ask my nemesis? I lie here in my cask and contemplate the coin I spent, which bought me this chill kiss, which sucked away my life with hungry breath and left me with a shell for friends to hold. What difference is there now between life and death? Why, none. Said death lasts longer, I've been told. Those who cannot see what brought them here may keep the same faults when they try new. That is not a path I'll tread again. This time, to my own self, I shall be true.
You never fail to have the most the most vital piece of poetry available for the event. Whenever I've sat with you, you've gone, what would you like? Which number? It always fascinates me that you know exactly what to say, and you've always got something written. It's time your stuff was out there. I literally do. It makes my heart cry out that we might get to the point where it's not out there and it's not published. I think it now has to become your moral obligation to help me to help you to publish this.
MJ, we have to make it happen.
I agree.
this happen. Make this happen.
Made this happen.
My poetry's a bit literally cruel, but it was lovely what you said about our Carl before, Christian, because some Carls are absolutely brilliant if you've got the right connotations with that.
And you've got one. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we're here. We've gone 5 minutes over, but the fact that we've got a Maury in our life, you know, if you've got a Maury in your life, what more do you need? We also have Kelly and Frank's here, for goodness sake. Thank you so much for all being here this morning. If you want to listen to it back, this room is on replay. We're in Inclusion at 7 o'clock tonight, and we have a gang happening in Inclusion. We've got new staff starting. We've got people coming on board.
Yeah.
And
It's going to be at.
Oh, there we are.
It's going to be at 2 p.m. My time because I am in America. I'm in
Is that where you are?
Maryland.
I didn't know that. I thought you were here. I'm so glad you're all the way over there. You're in Maryland, are you?
Yeah, Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah. And how's that? So it's 2 p.m. at yours?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, there we are, Maryland. There we go.
I love it. I love it here. Like I live on the Berlin side of Maryland, not Berlin, Germany.
No, the other one.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I can see now.
It's a small town. Like it's a really small town, and I love it here. And I live about 10 minutes away from Ocean City. From Ocean City in the Eastern Shore side of the state, you know, like it's a really wonderful place here. Like my area is beautiful. Like, I will never forget the day that I was born in this area. Never forget it. So
it's incredible.
It's lovely here.
It's incredible. That's lovely that you're all the way over there. So yeah, 2 p.m. your time, 7 p.m. our time. Just 12 hours from now, we're going to be together. So go and get your rest. Have a great day, whatever it is you're going to do. And we will see you back here. But in Inclusion at 7 o'clock tonight. So look for the Inclusion room. And then on Saturdays, we're back in MJ's house at 8 o'clock. So it goes 6 on a Monday morning, 7 on a Monday evening, and 8 on a Saturday morning. If you understand GMT, I think it's called, Greenwich Mean Time. That's when we're here. So that's right. So we'll be here at 7 o'clock tonight. And if you can be along with us, we'd love to see you then. And we will be talking all things inclusion and all things voice in preparation for BASWORK this next week. Right, I'm going to run away to work now. I have my local authority job, the last week of training to be a social worker in this regard. Let's see if I can pull it off and get my portfolio handed in. Thanks for being here. It's been great. You've been in MJ's Motivation on Monday. We've been sitting down for the disabled, and we're going to continue to do that until we have equity. We believe in inclusion, and if you don't, I want to know what you stand for. I don't. I sit down, and I'm going to sit down and end it there. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.